All right, today we're cracking open the case file on one of humanity's oldest and deadliest enemies. We're going to follow the evidence, identify the suspects, and map out the entire crime scene of a global killer, malaria. Let's get into it.
Okay, first piece of evidence, just look at this number. In 2019 alone, there were an estimated 229 million cases of malaria. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of Brazil. This isn't some rare thing. It's a massive, ongoing global health crisis happening right now. And behind all those cases, there are devastating consequences. Of those millions, almost 500,000 people lost their lives. Think about it this way. That's over 1,100 deaths every single day. That is the equivalent of a jumbo jet crashing with no survivors every 4 hours. So yeah, this isn't just a disease. It's a crisis that absolutely demands our attention. So, how in the world does this happen on such a massive scale? Well, it's not a simple one-and-done kind of thing. It's more like a conspiracy, really. For this to work, you need 3 key players to show up in the right place at the right time. Let's meet the suspects. And here they are. You've got the pathogen, the vector, and the host. It's like a 3-legged stool. You need all 3 for it to stand up. If you take away even one of these elements, the whole system just falls apart. The chain of transmission is broken. So, let's investigate our culprits one by one. First up, we've got the mastermind, the pathogen. Now, this isn't a virus or a bacteria, which is a really important distinction. It's a tiny little parasite called Plasmodium. You can think of it like a microscopic hijacker that gets into your red blood cells and basically turns your own body against you. That's what causes the terrible sickness. But you know, a mastermind can't get very far on its own. It needs a getaway driver. And that's where our vector comes in, the female Anopheles mosquito. When she bites someone who's already sick, she sucks up the parasite. Then she just flies off to her next meal and bam, injects the parasite into a new person. She is the crucial link that keeps this whole operation running. And that brings us to the third and final player in this drama, the host. And, well, that's us, humans. We're the unwitting accomplices, the perfect environment where the parasite can set up shop and multiply. And the tragic part is, the most vulnerable among us, I'm talking about young kids and pregnant women, they're the ones who pay the heaviest price. Okay, so we've identified our 3 culprits. But every criminal enterprise needs a headquarters, right? A hideout where they can thrive. So now let's investigate the crime scene itself, the perfect breeding ground for malaria. So what makes the perfect hideout for our mosquito vector? It really all boils down to climate. They love warm temperatures, they need high humidity in the air to survive long enough to pass on the parasite, and the real kicker? They need standing water. Any little puddle will do, because that's where they lay their eggs. It's the perfect nursery. And here's something you might not expect. When we talk about standing water, you're probably picturing a swamp or a jungle, right? But check this out. It can be something as simple as an uncovered water tank on a rooftop in a crowded city. These can become 5-star hotels for mosquitoes, bringing this ancient killer right to our doorsteps. All right, so we've got the who, the what, and the how. Let's zoom out and look at the where. Where on this planet do all these factors come together to create the perfect storm for malaria? This map, well, it tells a really clear story. You can see malaria is basically concentrated in this band right around the equator. It's no surprise, right? The warm, humid climates across big parts of Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia create an absolute paradise for the Anopheles mosquito and its deadly little passenger. But even inside that global hotspot, the problem isn't spread out evenly. Not even close. The data from the World Health Organization is just stark. The African continent is, without a doubt, the epicenter of this crisis. It carries a completely disproportionate share of both the cases and, sadly, the deaths. And if we zoom in even more, this chart just reveals something wild. Get this, nearly half of all the malaria cases on the entire planet happen in just 4 countries. And look at Nigeria. Over a quarter of the world's cases are right there. The sheer scale of the challenge in these specific places is just immense. So, with everything we know, the culprits, the method, the location, you'd think this case would be closed by now, right? But the thing is, the fight is far from over. The case is still very much open because there are some serious gaps in our defense. See, a big part of the problem is that we're often fighting blind. With poor surveillance and spotty reporting, we don't always have a clear picture of what's happening on the ground. Then you've got people self-medicating, which, while understandable, can lead to drug-resistant strains of malaria. And on top of all that, if the public and private health systems aren't working together, the whole response just gets weaker and more fragmented. So this all leaves us with a huge question for the future. Our climate is changing, which could mean mosquitoes find new places to live. Our cities are growing, which creates new challenges. The old playbook might not be enough anymore. The investigation is ongoing, and defeating this ancient enemy for good is going to take new ideas, new tools, and a truly global effort to finally close this case once and for all.